Hi, it's Warren Cox, hopefully here to help you shine brighter. Today we're going to be going over how to build credibility on doors, a few tips to gain some more respect and a little more credibility when you're in your turf. So building credibility in your turf, some of the most successful people I've seen and when I've been the most successful in my past is when I've worked in the same area for a longer period of time, right? One of the coolest things I've learned is SIYA, see ya, stay in your area. But when we first knocked the door, we were encountering an emotional kind of wall from every single customer. Every interaction that we have with them, is a little bit easier of an interaction. They trust us a little bit more. We have a little more credibility. You've taken more of those blocks off of that wall that they built up towards you. Another way, there are many ways to show credibility and build credibility, but one of those is body language, voice tone, hand motions. When I speak about the utility, I'm usually using my hand motion high. When I talk about solar, I'm keeping it locked in at a medium height, right? Just lots of different body language. The way you use your hands, if you have solar installs around, you can point at those, use points of reference. So use hand motions, use your body language in a good way. Make sure your voice tone matches your body language as well. Knock around your installs. It gives you a wonderful point of reference. It's like having a huge billboard there for you. So make sure you knock around your installs. It brings a lot more business that way. You physically have something that you can point at while you're speaking to the customer that they know that one of their neighbors has stamped off on. So utilize your installs, site surveys the same way, utilize those trucks. That's a big billboard of a lot of time and sweat and equity that you put in, that you've earned, that money can't buy. So make sure that you utilize those. Have your right posture, vocabulary, use the proper vocabulary. Instead of saying things like, loans, use lender programs or ownership programs, things like that. It's a little bit softer of terms. Make sure you use your eye contact accordingly. Use selective eye contact when you want to get certain points across. Body language, you always need to be relaxed, not overly excited. You kind of want to match whoever you're speaking with in their body language, but you always want to kind of be taking them down a tone as well, right? Match that a little bit, mirroring, matching, go over that. Tony Robbins has a lot of good training on that, but be relaxed, not overly excited. Use your hand motions, utility rates, like we said, high, solar, kind of locked in, hands held low. I'm a big guy, so for myself, I think most people, it just works mentally. If you're turned sideways when you're speaking to someone, it makes myself look a little bit smaller. I lean on my back foot. It seems like I'm almost on my way out. Us as human beings, when we're encountered with someone stiff postured or just even squared off with us, our first response subconsciously is fight or flight. So kind of turn sideways. I like to lean on my back foot. It's almost like I'm on my way out. Subconsciously, it triggers for them to trust me and build a little more credibility that way. Try to help them relax and not feel intrusive. Study mirroring, matching, like we said. So going a little more into building credibility, make sure that your voice tone should match your body language. I've seen sometimes when people are new, they'll be responding yes, and their head is actually moving no, or they're saying yes, or they're saying no, and their head's going yes, right? So make sure that your voice tone kind of matches your body language. If you're expressive with your hands, you want to kind of match that with your voice. If you're being calm, relaxed, you're leaning back, you kind of want your voice tone to match that. Speak very calmly, clearly, and relax. Take your time. Do not rush. Use your voice fluctuations as well to get specific points across. This will really help you also, especially in home, when you want to get specific points across, when you're killing the bill, when you're going into the control of solar, things like that. When you want to get those specific points across, use those narrowing eyes, use fluctuation in your voice. These things are very important when you want them to hear what you have to say. Questions. Use questions in your pitch. Wait for them to actually answer the questions and truly listen to their responses. A lot of times I've seen people, or I've done it myself, My first interaction is, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, how you doing today? Before I even hear their response, I would start to go into my pitch. So make sure you're actually hearing how they're doing today, right? Or whatever question it is you're asking. Make sure that you're truly listening to those responses. Make sure that you kind of try to avoid the yes or no questions. That gives them an out. It's really good to use layered questions. Layered questions, as you can make up your own, but ones I like to use, do you know what your utility bill is going to be next month? How many surprise bills do you typically see during a year? Do you know what rate increases you've experienced this year, right? How much has your bill gone up since last year? These are questions that aren't yes or no questions. It doesn't really give them an out, so to speak, right? So it makes them kind of think about what they have to answer, and you'll get a little more into a conversation rather than an actual pitch. Give a detailed response. Once you actually get a concern or a question and you truly listen, give a detailed response. Let them kind of know. It's not like you want to really get into the different version of the product or the panels or things like that, but make sure that you actually address the concern and then move back on. Get right back onto your pitch. Layered questions work best. It really helps the customer get engaged, and it makes it more of a conversation. One of the best tips I've ever gotten, and I really utilized, that worked very, very well for me, was especially when you work in the same areas, is using neighbors' names. Once you actually get customers, you have installs, it works very, very well, especially in your intro, using neighbors' names. Hi, my name is Warren. You've probably seen me. I'm working with your neighbor, the Bowens. Gavin and Melissa, I'm working with, the Johnstones, George and Sheila, whatever it might be. Utilize those customers' names. This is one of the most valuable and effective ways when you knock a door, especially when you're knocking around installs, around your site surveys. Hey, do you know your neighbor, Frank Sinatra? Hey, do you know your neighbor, Mrs. Doe? Right? Make sure you use this. Believe it or not, people believe about 70% more of things that, even if you're saying them, if they think it's coming from someone else or that someone else is stamped off on it, they believe 70% more. So it's really useful when you're using that around installs, or if you already have installs in that neighborhood and they actually know the neighbors. It's a tight-knit community. It works very, very well. Highly effective. Know when and how to use the names. It's ideal to use amazing customers who speak highly of you. A lot of times, if they actually do know that neighbor, they're going to want to speak to them about it. Hey, do I know Kristen? Do I know Andy, right? They're going to want to go speak to Andy or John. Make sure that you're utilizing the names that speak very highly of you, that you've done a great job with, that fully understand solar. They've had their solar up and working. They know how what they had to go through to qualify for solar. They know how it works, and they're going to know how to help pitch that for you as well. Make yourself a little army like we spoke of before, especially what you'll learn in the closing trainings, but make sure that you utilize the proper names and the proper customers that you're referring people to. Also, send them a gift. If somebody helps you lock down a sale, if you use a customer's name and they speak to Gavin and Melissa and they help you lock in a sale, send a gift card, whether it's $25, $50. It might not go a long ways nowadays, but it goes a long ways emotionally for people to say, hey, yeah, I took 5 minutes of my time. My buddy reached out. I stamped off on solar. I told him how awesome you were. And now they have their solar system, or they sat down with you, right? Send them a gift regardless of what happens, whether or not they sign. It will also encourage that homeowner and that customer that you have to be more active, to send you more customers as well, to send you more referrals, and know that you're going to work hard, not just for yourself and for those customers they refer, but on their behalf as well, to help them get paid. Especially if your company offers things like referral bonuses, things like that. I know we do at the Sun Shop. Really utilize those things. It's going to make people kind of your own little Spartan army, where they're going to be out referring solar for you as well, and be really happy to do it, because not only are they helping a friend out, but they're also getting financially rewarded as well in that. It's as simple as, I'm working with your neighbors, the Johnstones. Do you know George and Sheila? Okay, how about the Roberts? Do John and Carrie. You know, it's very simple to utilize that. Make sure that you're throwing that there into your pitch. It works very well normally in the intro. It helps open up and break down a lot of those barriers that you're first encountering when you knock those doors. Hope this helps. Again, make sure you shine brighter. Make sure you're using your customers and your neighbors' names, and stay in your area.